I caught my wife flirting after she fell asleep with her phone open. My wife, 30 female, and I, 35 male, have had a 100% trusting relationship. We both have access to each other's phones, laptops, pretty much everything, because we never had anything to hide. I never went searching through any of her stuff and never had any desire to. I'm pretty sure she's never searched through mine, but if she had, there's nothing to find anyway. We've been together 8 years, married for 4, and I just want to reiterate, trust and loyalty are basically our foundation, and she has said a few times that if I ever cheat on her, we're over. Fine, not gonna happen anyway. Every other week, I work 4 p.m. to midnight, and by the time I wrap up and get home, it's usually close to 1 a.m. My wife has a number of coworkers that she sometimes goes out with after work, and I've met most of them. I'm glad that she can get out and have some fun when I can't be there, knowing that she's not cooped up in the house. We have no kids. She also went out a few times with a male coworker. We'll call him Kyle. He's 34, I think, also married. I was fine with it, and they both worked for a while in a department that was basically a sinking ship and liked to chat about it or whatever. She was always honest with telling me who she was with. And like I said, I completely trusted her. Yeah, I know you get it already. Last night, I got home from work at my usual 1 a.m. My wife was asleep with her phone in her hand with the screen on. She had fallen asleep in the middle of a text message to Kyle that said, "I could fall asleep listening to your voice." I guess she actually did that and fell asleep pressing the I key. I was a little stunned by this and slipped the phone out of her hand to get a little context. Apparently, they had discovered the temporary voice message mode and were toying around with it. I didn't listen to any of them, but a text message in there said, "Yeah, and it's nice because these messages delete themselves." That was extremely concerning, so I scrolled up a bit and mixed in with talk about actual work. There were quite a few flirty messages in there coming from both directions. I only looked for about 30 seconds, but I didn't see anything spicy related. Could be there though, who knows? Naturally, I woke up my wife and she didn't even try denying it, as I clearly had seen it. I did give her phone back before looking at any more. She apologized and said that she's an idiot, and that obviously nothing happened. She said she stopped him a couple of times when he was starting to go too far, but if he had the inclination to go too far, then why would she not shut it down completely? And why was she flirting back? She didn't have very good answers, just said that she was being stupid and was lonely since I work nights and we barely see each other some weeks. Little bit of context, this event has some unique timing. Today is a huge day at her job. She's been looking forward to / dreading today for months. Lots of things are changing and she's in charge of a lot of it. I genuinely don't want this issue to affect her work, but it already has given that neither of us got a second of sleep last night after I woke her up. Last night I requested to see the entire conversation. For one, because my imagination is running away with this a bit, and I'd like to know if it's worse or not as bad as I'm thinking. If it's just a little flirty, I'm still pretty upset, but I think we can work past it. At first, she flat out refused, and I said the logic flows that if she's not sharing the conversation with me, then whatever she's hiding is worse than the fact that she is actually hiding something from me. I told her that if she's not open with this conversation, then I can't begin to build trust back, which is true. She seemed to be actually considering it this morning, getting ready for work, but said that she can't think about this right now. She has to be completely focused on work today. I conceded to that because, like I said, we've been anticipating this day for months, but I'm expecting to see it this evening. Like I said, I never expected to be in this situation, and I don't even know how to act. What's the correct degree of response to this? Treat it as relatively harmless flirting and work through it? Elevate to possible therapy or a separation? I just don't know. I'm just hurt and confused. And we do have an update. I think most of you will be disappointed in my actions. A lot of you seem to be out for blood and assuming the worst, calling for me to leave her immediately. Well, I knew that wasn't going to happen from the start. I actually can't imagine my life without her, and it's far worse than life with her, even with this incident contaminating our relationship. I will not be seeking divorce, and we are pursuing marriage counseling. So the deets. She came home, and we went for a walk. She agreed to give me her phone, but wanted to explain first. I asked her if she had cut contact with him, and she said yes. She had gone to his office and told him that the flirting had gone too far, and that I had seen some of the conversation, and that she had to prioritize me over everything. I was really only half listening because I didn't want to form opinions based on her words without having hard evidence first. She talked about how they just have a fun time chatting with each other, and they have a lot in common. Kyle and his wife apparently have 2 cats that are the same type as our 2 cats, and they had a lot of fun comparing their personalities and similarities. Whatever. The friendliness and flirtiness grew slowly over time. She said that a while ago he had expressed feelings for her, and she shut him down and said that that would never happen. They didn't talk for a few days, but eventually, through work, started chatting again, and the flirtiness popped right back up. She said over the past couple of weeks, she was starting to question how much they talked, and that she talked to him more than anyone else, and it was starting to feel weird. But I guess those thoughts hadn't fully formed into a decision to knock it off because obviously it was still ongoing as of 2 nights ago. She finally gave me her phone, and lo and behold, only the messages from the past day were available. Shocker. She expressed confusion and said that that made her feel like an idiot and that the messages weren't loading correctly. It's an iPhone, so I went to the edit, retrieved deleted messages, and there were about 2,400 sitting there. I tried to retrieve them, but I guess it was so many that they still weren't loading. I asked for her iPad, which was back at the house, except when we got back there, it turns out that she left it at her office. She offered to go get it, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm coming with you every step of the way. On the drive there, she states that when he confessed his feelings for her, he had actually tried to kiss her on the way out of the bar. She basically hit him and left right then. At this point, I told her that she should have told me that immediately. She, of course, agreed and said that she didn't know why she didn't. We retrieved the iPad and the entire conversation is there. I don't think she would have thought to go back and delete extra incriminating ones twice when she thought that they were all gone already. So I saw it all, and I read it all 2,400 messages. Obviously, it started out purely work-related. Then it started getting friendlier, talking about their cats, how him and his wife have very similar names to us. Actually, him and I have the same name, infuriating enough. It's not actually Kyle, and I don't want you to think of me like a Kyle. No offense to all the Kyles out there. How they like similar shows and whatnot. The more I read until the very end, the more it truly seemed like the scenario where a frog is put into a pot of water that slowly increases in temperature and doesn't realize it was boiling. There was absolutely nothing spicy related, and from her talk before I saw it, it did seem like she was starting to realize that the water was too hot. There were a few messages from her that made my heart clench, and I read those aloud to her, and I could just see the shame and anguish on her face. Obviously, the point that causes me the most consternation is when he tried to kiss her. She didn't tell me, then eventually started chatting with him again. I am extremely mad at her. Given that, I think 90% of the emotions I'm feeling are just sadness. I feel like I'm in mourning for the relationship we had for 8 years that ended on July 1st, 2025. As I mentioned, we're reaching out to marriage counselors. I can't wait to go because I want to forgive her and I literally don't know how. And that is the end of that story.
You might not forgive her, OP, but you also might forgive her. You can't know.
Yeah.
And either of those answers is okay.
I think all of that stuff would definitely be good to talk about, like feeling like your relationship is over at that point.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I mean,
She
like,
betrayed
then
you.
how do you feel like you are in a relationship again if this makes you feel like it was over, you know? So hopefully you guys can figure that out in therapy. I really hope that it can be saved. It does feel like at least she's remorseful for this mistake.
Hopefully.
Which
is
yeah, like obviously it's still a mistake. She shouldn't have done it. And I don't want to like, you know, seem like I'm excusing her for that. We just see a lot of stories where they aren't remorseful and they're just like making excuses and gaslighting and stuff. So out of all of those, this one gives me a hope.
Yeah.
But definitely will need some time.